So here's the basics of the Thot audit. If you guys haven't seen it on Twitter and around the internet in the past couple of days, it looks like it started with a Twitch streamer that was pretty big, and he kind of blew up for some reason. Well, I watched the video, and he makes a pretty decent point that Twitch and gaming has been invaded by women with huge tits and stuff. So it's women invading yet another male space, right? Everywhere men go, women follow it and fuck it up. So what else is new? But it looks like the incels and the betas and the blue pillars are fighting back. They're rightfully pissed off that their spaces are being invaded and watered down and turned into yet another source of just cash for them to make off of, all these guys just throwing money at them through Venmo and PayPal and Snapcash and shit. Mm. So this guy fired back in a video, got him banned off Twitch, and somehow he actually started reporting some of these women to the IRS for tax evasion, which is different from tax fraud. Like tax fraud's like a felony, but tax evasion, and I think he's right. Like I know some of these women, I bang some of these women, and they don't even file taxes half the time. They really live like in another world where they think they're above the law, or that the law is just irrelevant to them. Even basic stuff like filing your taxes and paying them and shit like that. Yeah. So Roosh picked this up, of course, now brought it more into the manosphere, started tweeting about it, and that really kind of snowballed now into a whole thing where there are tons of men, particularly, I guess, with Twitch, these gamers and 4chan and shit, reporting all these women by the masses as much as they can to the IRS for tax evasion. And honestly, now some of them might be overdoing it. Some of these women definitely pay taxes, but I'd guess 70, 80%, they don't even report it. They don't do anything with it. They're just banking all this money and they're bragging about it on Instagram and shit like that all the time. They'll show you all this cash they make. They tell you about it, all these trips, all this bullshit they spend it on. And it's a good example. There's been a lot of controversy about this. Even the speakers in the convention are kind of split about it. But I'm on the side that these women are not above the law, that if you want equal rights, then you're going to pay equal taxes. And if you're evading your taxes, then I support these guys doing that. I'm not going to spend the time myself doing it. I have other shit to be doing. But if I wasn't running a business and doing podcast shows, dude, go for it. I support them all as much as you can. If they're breaking the law, then they deserve to be held accountable for it.
I think I was watching this interview of, I think it was Sargon of Akkad. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. I ran in and out of different circles on YouTube, but he was getting he did his own show on this, and then he had an interview, and I can't remember who was doing the interviewing. I want to say it was Jeremy from the Quartering, but he was talking about like it's not all of this controversy is really not about the taxes itself, but more about the fact that these guys feel disenfranchised, right? It's like, how easy is it for a woman, a good look, let's just say, actually you don't even have to be good looking. I mean, you could just still be like a 6 or 5 or 6 and still go on and show a little bit of skin, and you can make $27 off of your nudes or whatever, super chats and what's it, the premium Snapchat? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so they've got it's funny how they don't know how to pay taxes, but yet they still know how to structure their memberships to here's $27 for some nudes, $5 for me to talk sex.
Oh, dude, they're super great. I know a girl that had the boyfriend experience. She had a monthly membership program she was getting these guys enrolled in. She wanted to come to the convention and pass out cards and shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'll give her points for entrepreneurship on that. I'm like, holy shit, she really thought this through.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not buying this bullshit about like, oh, they don't know how to do their taxes, or they're just lazy or something. They're not lazy. They're evading taxes is what they're doing. And I think that they have if they've got the smart, if they're smart enough to go and create some sort of tiered profit program, they certainly can figure out how to do their taxes. It's just that I think that most of these girls don't believe that they need to do taxes, that that just the money just appears magically in their PayPal account.
That's right.
And once they're making, I'm not even sure that they really even understand how much money it is they're making. Right? It's not like they have this like, maybe they see the money in their PayPal account go up to $50,000, $60,000, whatever. Okay, great. And then they pop off about it. But the Sargon was saying that the real reason behind this is because guys are pissed off, because these women will take that money and they will flaunt it and say, look, hey, I'm in Aruba, because stupid men gave me the money to come here. Right. And so they start popping off about that. Well, of course, if you start fucking the people who are giving you money, if you start like, rubbing their noses in it, that, first off, that's not good business. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to do that? But second of all, you're going to get some retaliation. Some people are going to find some way to get, all of these guys aren't just, every last one of these isn't just some healthy, well-adjusted guy who's, watching you take your clothes off. He's paying you for an experience. And one of the reasons I kind of wanted to talk about the Thot audit is because I think that it's a deeper issue than just women paying their taxes. I think it's the guys who are actually paying their salaries who need to, hey, if they're not paying their taxes, great, but you're actually paying their salaries for them to go and do all this stuff. So if you really want to hit them where it hurts, why are you still doing this? Why do you still have a membership? Why are you still paying them, X amount of dollars for a nude? I know, like Sargon was saying that guys who are younger are disempowered or disenfranchised. And this is true because like guys who are in, men who are between, say, the ages of 18 and maybe 25 are in no way as socially empowered as a good-looking woman of those same ages. The problem is that once that woman gets to be about 30 years old and she hits her epiphany phase, that's when it's, oh, poor me, I'm getting off of the cock carousel and now I have to, actually earn a living because I can't do this shit anymore. And then I want to get right with God, and then I want to, do things the right way. And you have to wait to have sex with me, and I need to fight. Where are all the good guys? And then the power dynamic switches, because once that guy gets to be like into his early to mid 30s, that's when his sexual market peak starts to peak. And I think that Sargon was saying that the guys who are in that position right now feel really kind of disempowered. And the only way that they can hit back is to basically say, we're going to report you to the IRS. Another thing is, I don't think these guys really realize that if you go and you report somebody to the IRS, you're basically red flagging yourself for your own taxes too.
You're not, because you don't have to you can do it anonymously. If you want the reward, you have to give your own social security number. But you could do it anonymously. Yeah, I would know this because I almost went through this process myself a few years ago.
Ooh.
I think you guys might have guessed, but I held back on that at the last minute.
So back in the day when you were a gigolo, like one of your unhappy customers reported you, is that what that was?
No. I just had a relationship that kind of ended. Sour. I think you guys were aware of that one. And I went through this kind of a very Stone Age level, considering a couple years ago now. Thought audit myself, and I almost reported this woman to the IRS, but I chose not to. I backed off on that one. We'll see. I think I haven't looked up statute of limitations on it, but I think they're pretty long. So I decided to hold back on that, and we'll see how that turns out in the long run. But Carl, what do you have to say about these high-tech prostitutes?
Yes, tell us the economic bent on this.
Well, I have a few notes on things here because I don't think these girls and in the gaming world are that different from the pundit thoughts on the conservative side here, because it's like if you want to get up there as a conservative commentator and you're a dude, you kind of have to be clever, you have to be knowledgeable, and you have to kind of have your own ideas. And if you want to be, one of these pundit thoughts, all you have to do really is show cleavage and say you're a conservative, a 6 or higher.
Yeah.
But to go more specific here, I don't take a moral position. I think it's fine if these girls want to be digital prostitutes, but if I have to pay taxes, everyone has to pay taxes. And I'm fundamentally against taxes to think that for the most part, they should be to a degree voluntary, except, for the minimal things you need to have fund a defense budget and shit like that. But it's fair if you're making money as a freelancer. It's a 1099, I think. You have to file to put in your income. It's not that difficult, and these girls are smart enough to do it. And we have to keep in mind here that these are your future single mommies. So by paying their taxes now, they're financing their own welfare for later. So at least they can do that bit, so that in 10 years, the next generation of whores on Twitch can finance their welfare. So you get kind of a self-sustaining system of thottery. And
I'm glad you said that, because it's like once these guys get to, right now, these guys are trying to find some way to lash out. But I mean, really, the best thing that you can do is hit these women in the bottom line and just simply don't participate in their bullshit. Now, there's going to be a million thirsty guys, and this is what they're really making money off of is male beta male thirst. But when you get to be in your 30s, this is when guys need to remember all the bullshit about the Thot audit back when they were 10 years ago, and they go, okay, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. I think I got a post called Alpha Agents of Righteous Karma. That's what it was. I mean, you are only an alpha agent of righteous karma once you get to a point where women are more necessitous in the sexual marketplace than you are.
Steve, do you have any comments on this, the Thot audit? I don't know if you saw it going on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is why we created something called Sucker Me Season after Thanksgiving, because it's a time where women figure out that, you know what, they can use their sexuality to hunt what I call, again, the 98. A lot of guys who don't know their manhood or don't know what about themselves. We talked about this in 2012. Women back then, they were doing something called rinsing. Check that out. It's called rinsing. And that started I think like 2012, 2010, where women will go on the internet and they will use their seduction to get these guys to give them gifts, money, trips, jewelry, you name it. And like y'all guys say, y'all are absolutely right. It should be, y'all should turn those, excuse my language, turn those bitches in, because you know what?
No, let them know. Turn these bitches in, bro.
About cuss, man, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that fuck them. I mean, excuse my language, but what I'm saying is that y'all are right, man. Hey, equal rights deserve equal lefts. And if you are suckering these guys out, and that's what these women are doing, they're suckering these guys out their money and they think they're getting a free ride. So what they're doing, and again, now that it's being brought to the light, now these women are like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? Because it's so simple to just wake up every morning seeing $200, $3,000 in your PayPal account, so you can go buy another fucking purse or a pair of shoes or a dress, to make dress up for men like us. But I'm not down for that. But I mean, we just need to. I just feel like we need to keep educating these guys to stop buying these things and stop being a part of the hook, line, and sinker, where you look at their seduction and you pay for the seduction instead of the opposite. Anthony, you were a gigolo?
No, I was going to ask you that. But I think salt baby, or I'm a salt daddy, so I don't pay women. I just fuck them for free. These hoes, but especially the digital prostitutes, these sugar babies and shit. There's actually a really good book coming out called Salt or Salty from B-Rob. But please continue.
They can't pay taxes on money we don't pay them, right? That's why you fuck them for free.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. As a gigolo, I couldn't understand, because when you're doing it correctly, they will spend money on you. They will buy you and clothes and stuff. And I think, but again, a lot of men can't fathom or connect that they have the power of taking their dick off the table and seeing what the woman can do for them. And I like I say, this is why groups like this are out here to really educate these things. So I just think we need to keep educating these young men.
I mean, if anything, my salt dating is just justice for men. I know that these betas don't have the game. I have enough to do it. So I actually just bought an account again. I've been off it for a while. It's like $80 a month. I'm like, fuck this shit. But I think every year, so I need to hop back on it and get back in the system and kind of level the playing field a little bit. And it's really fun. These girls are hot, and if you're ever up, I haven't got any diseases from you yet. And it's pretty fun banging them. And they think they're real slick. And if they've been on there for a while, you're not gonna be able to salt bang them. But the ones that are on there for like a year or less, they don't have a clue what's going on. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So it's awesome shit. Donovan, you got comments here?
Yeah. I liken this to this Thot audit. I liken this to, guys who check out of the dating market, right? Like they say, oh, I'm not gonna have anything to do with women. I'm not gonna pursue them. I'm just gonna be a monk, or I'm gonna, buy a sex doll or whatever. That's not something I would do, but I understand why they do it, right? I don't have time to be reporting these hoes, man. I just don't have the time. But listen, I'm all for reporting hoes for tax evasion, tax fraud, whatever the case may be. Now, here's the thing. A lot of guys, and I think that Rollo is onto something. A lot of guys they're not necessarily upset with the fact that these women tend to get over on these beta males, right? I think that's part of it. But the other part of it is that these men can't have the hotness for themselves. They're upset with these beautiful women who make it so hard to fuck them. The only way you're going to be able to fuck them is if you pay them. right? And listen, let's not make any mistake in terms of what these girls are. These girls are prostitutes. They can call it as, listen, if you're a cam girl, you're a prostitute. If you're a stripper, you're a prostitute. If you're an escort, you're a prostitute. If you're a call girl, I don't care. Listen, you're selling your body for money. Doesn't matter whether penetration is involved or not. That is prostitution. All of that said, I am all for prostitution. This is a free market. We live in an age of free market capitalism. If you happen to have something or some things that the public is willing to pay for, by all means, make that money. I'm not against that. I can talk and I can write. I make money from doing that. But they should pay. Okay. If I gotta pay 17 cents in taxes for a bag of apples that I buy from the supermarket, these bitches should pay taxes on money they get for nipple pics. All right. Like and again, we have to understand this too. And Rolo, you sort of took the thunder out of my cloud there. Sorry. A lot of guys are saying, yes, do your civic duty and report these people because we really care about taxes. You don't give a shit about taxes. You're not doing this for patriotic reasons. You're doing this for a vengeful purpose. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't blame you. I don't give a fuck. Listen, man, I know a lot of girls say you're just doing this because you're upset. So
yeah, they are. You're right. You're 100% right. Well,
the recourse they have, then this is the only recourse they have.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because I had Bob Lewis actually just text me or hit me up on Twitter about this. He said, "Please, let's not white knight for these thoughts. They take advantage of actual incels and low esteem men for their monetary gain while not paying their fair share of taxes. Not all, but some. But reporting tax evasion is fine, as I pay taxes, so should they." No argument with that. I mean, I think that what a lot of guys are doing, like they'll hit me. One of the reasons like I wanted to cover this topic in this show is because so many guys say, well, you got to come down on these thoughts or else it's you're complicit in it or you're endorsing it. It's like, fuck you. No, I'm not. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I'm coming down on one side or the other. I'm trying to explain what I think is going on. Now they want to make it a moral issue. They want to say, "Well, this is immoral for women to do this." And yeah,
let's pause real quick and let's get Carl in real quick. Hang on a sec. He had the line here. Carl.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about just dropped into my head is now there's a thing with social media companies like Facebook. They have no editorial responsibilities because I can't remember the statute, but basically they're not responsible for anything that's posted on their site. And they also, like a newspaper editor, they're responsible for what they publish in that paper. And Facebook is not responsible, Twitter is not responsible, etc. One of the major discussions is, should they have a responsibility? Because if they're banning people and they're doing editorial work to a greater degree, should they have that responsibility? Because either they have to do it or they can't do it. And the second thing related to that is the specific, if you help someone with tax evasion or tax avoidance, you can actually be charged with a criminal act. So one thing here, PayPal, for instance, is a payment service provider for a lot of this. And the companies that they're using to stream, like Twitch, or, if they're using Patreon or whatever, they could technically be charged with enabling tax evasion. And that could mean that they lose their ability to provide payments, depending a little bit on. So I think it would be interesting to see if a service like PayPal would have to start actually reporting directly to the government, because you have an EU case, because everyone's heard the joke about Swiss bank accounts.
Yes.
But the EU actually pressured Switzerland to open up part of its banking system to hunt down EU citizens and corporations that were using it as a tax shelter. And if the digital world becomes the same way, I mean, you would expect government to start getting in on the action, especially with crypto becoming big, with more and more payments being digital online. So what's going to happen there is I think governments are going to come in there and they're going to say that, okay, you have to start reporting, you have to require a social security number to open an account or another personal identifier. And you have to report that money, maybe not as income, but at least as available wealth.
Yeah, I wanted to get my own take in on here too. Like Carl and the other commenters here, the other panelists, I'm fiercely opposed to the income tax. I think it's absolutely disgusting. We should abolish income tax. We should abolish the IRS, and we should repeal the 16th Amendment. In the meantime, these hoes need to pay taxes. And what bugs me the most is the attitude and the mental point of origin kind of position they come from with this. It's total arrogance and entitlement. They're just brats. Like Rolo mentioned, they know they should be paying taxes. They just don't give a fuck. They literally think they're above the law. Exactly like Believe Women. They want Believe Women to be fact in a fucking courtroom. So this to me is it's a very similar concept to what we saw with Brett Kavanaugh. They think that they are above the law, that their word is the rule of law, that their word is fact. It is not. George Bruno actually made a good point that back in the 80s and 90s, you had a he said, she said kind of dynamic. When there was any, whether it was in school or whether it was on the news or something was going on, there was accusations. Accusations are not evidence. They're just just words, and they don't count in a courtroom unless you can back them up with evidence and stuff like that. So to me, this is a very similar concept. They're just seeing women think that they're above the law and that they can abuse the law. I even have a book here on my shelf, How to Destroy a Man Now, or whatever the fuck it's called, written by a psychologist with a PhD in psychology. So to me, it's just disgusting the way that women today act in the West. Not all of them, but a great number of them. And women by the thousands, going on Snapchat and their premium snaps and just making all this cash like this. It's just, and then not paying a dime in taxes on a lot of it. It's not like it's one thing if they're committing fraud and they're falsely reporting this stuff. I don't think most of them are doing that. I'd be surprised. They're just ignoring it, and they know they shouldn't, and they just don't fucking care. And as of yet, there hasn't been consequences for that. And it looks like all these gamers on Twitch and shit and on 4chan are going to start putting a stop to that. The IRS definitely wants their money. I saw the Rouge posted a nice tweet with the Jurassic Thoughts. Someone had made a video apparently and photoshopped in some imagery from the end of the Jurassic Park movie, where the T-Rex was the IRS eating the velociraptors, who were the Thots. It's pretty fucking funny. But I think that's what's going to start happening. If there's just in Orlando, I can guarantee you there's probably a couple thousand women doing this kind of shit. And most of them, I'd say, 80-20 rule, most of them are not reporting any of that shit.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. But I know some, man. I fuck some of them. Like I see what they do, and they tell me how much money they make and how they do this shit. And I will say this though: the PayPal and Venmo boot them off their platforms really consistently. They hunt for this stuff. I think, like Carl was saying, they know that if they don't crack down on that shit, and they have been for a while, if they don't crack down on it as much as they can, at least to save face or at least present that kind of front, they could lose their ability to process payments and shit like that, or have more regulations thrown at them, which still might happen. But
I think that's coming. I think that's inevitable.
It might, yeah. I mean, they do try. They really do. I know because these women bitch about it, how fast they get banned, because these dudes send the money and then they file chargebacks. So their chargeback rates are huge. Other shit like that.
Wait,
yeah.
The dudes send them money and then they ask for a refund.
Oh yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, because they're pissed off, man. I guess you guys didn't know. Yeah, so I know quite a bit about the space before this Thot audit shit. Yeah, dude, their chargeback rates are huge because these dudes are dropping $50, $100. The boyfriend experience I was telling you about, that membership program this chick had, the shit was like $150 a month. So some dude will do it who's like, hasn't been laid in fucking 2 years or longer. Who the fuck knows, right? And then he, she ignores him or something. He gets pissed off at her. The dude's socially uncalibrated, probably slightly autistic or something. And so he's like, fuck this bitch. And he goes on, PayPal or whatever, his credit card, files a chargeback. Dude, PayPal and Venmo and all these payment processors, they hate chargebacks. It costs them money.
Yes.
And what are these girls going to do? They don't have a terms of service. They can't. When people file a chargeback for 21 University, it's pretty rare. But when they do, a terms of service prevents it. They usually win the case. And that happens probably 4 or 5 times a year, even with thousands of payments and stuff.
Sure.
Anthony,
but we're regarded. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I mean to interrupt you. Some of these guys are. I found out some of them are using what's that? Walmart. Walmart to Walmart now to get out of the PayPal loop, getting the cash in their hand, and that way there's no way the IRS knows that they're getting and receiving money.
Oh yeah, like Western Union, stuff like that.
Money laundering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah, any girl that uses Western Union is probably a fucking prostitute. Not that I would know.
Yeah.
And then one thing I wanted to drop in here. It's no coincidence that these girls went on Twitch and directly targeted this demographic of guys. They know that the gamer guys are all lonely, all, a lot of them are incels. In fact, a lot of them, have like zero game, and they think, it's really just part of that new lifestyle. We're going to just sit at home, play play video games, eat pizza, smoke pot, jerk off to porn. Oh, instead of jerk off to porn, here's a better thing. You can actually talk to a girl and she's going to pretend that she likes you.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't.
I wanted to comment here too, though, that I'm with Donovan, that I'm for legalizing prostitution.
Yeah.
So I'm opposed to the IRS. I'm opposed to the income tax. But in the meantime, that shit's rule of law, so I support it. But I also support legalizing prostitution everywhere in the United States. Although at the same time, it is alarming how many young women today have been normalized into digital prostitution like this. You have a whole generation of millennials and pretty soon Gen Z that are going to be happy to keep doing. They use Tinder for this shit. I mean, they post their Venmo and their PayPal, and they're like, $75 or $50 on Venmo and see what happens. That's like that's like super consistent. They're just fucking. They're just fishing for money with all this crap. It's amazing. These platforms are getting really fucked up.
It is amazing, but and I know a lot of guys get upset with this, but what they do is like, oh, these hot girls just go after these lonely guys. That's their market, dude. Honestly, do you think a cam girl is going to come to the Redman group and say, hey, for only $100? No, she'll fucking get laughed out of the room. Be like, bitch, I can get my dick sucked for free. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yep.
But they have to go where they are. It's advertising. They have to go to their most, I guess, I don't know. I'm not an economist, but they got to advertise who their market is, right? They're not going to advertise to guys who get pussy. They want to advertise to the guys who are I don't know. There are a lot of guys on Twitch who are lonely. There are a lot of guys on Twitter who are lonely. They're not going to advertise to red pill guys.
Yep.
Well,